According to the CDC, it is estimated that globally only 19% of people regularly wash their hands after using the bathroom. Similarly, respiratory hygiene is also frequently neglected. Neglecting public and personal hygiene invites many bad characters into your life, often without you ever even realizing it. Many have fallen victim to these opportunistic criminals, one such offender taking center stage. Its victims marked by a thick gray membrane that overwhelms the throat and impedes the ability to breathe freely. This is Corynebacterium diphtheria. We aim to discuss in this documentary a recounting of this criminal's offense by interviewing experts and the victims of this depraved psychopath. These are their stories.
So, tell me a little bit about Diphtheria. When did he start his killing spree?
Well, this monster has been quite elusive. Over the centuries, it has been known by many names: Syrian ulcer, membranous angina, malignant croup, and bovine sore throat. But no matter how many names we had for him, we never got any closer to stopping the havoc his presence wrought. Nor did the death toll get any less severe. Even now, it would be impossible to count the total number of cases that diphtheria is responsible for. For 1 year in particular, one terrible year in 1613, the sadistic killer plagued the country of Spain.
Countless victims were claimed in what they called the Year of Strangulations. The victims of diphtheria were strangled by a thick white membranous fluid in the back of their throat.
Sound familiar? But his depravity didn't stop there. His hunger eventually turned to families and friends.
The most disturbing thing about him has to be the sick preference he's had for children and their lack of immune defenses, especially those under 10. The killer invaded the homes of families across Europe, infecting around 30,000 each year in France alone. The children. The poor, poor children. But just in the nick of time, in 1888, physicians Emil Rowe and Alexander Yersin were able to prove the cause of this disease came from a toxin that diphtheria produces. In 1890, it was discovered that injecting the blood serum of an animal that had been exposed to heat-treated diphtheria toxin was able to prevent the harmful effects of C. diphtheriae and its toxin when the animals were re-exposed. They immunized large animals such as horses and sheep and harvested the antitoxin to be used on people.
Another close friend of mine, Gaston, developed a toxoid vaccine, and it was implemented as a routine vaccine for all children. DTP vaccine, anybody? With all this research and development,
We finally had enough information to bring to the public.
This just in. A crazed lunatic has been wreaking havoc worldwide. Detectives have identified victims in countries such as Bangladesh, Vietnam, Haiti, and more. The suspect has been described as bacillus in shape, pili, and purple appearance. He is believed to facilitate rapid growth through binary fission in an aerobic environment. Based on this information, it is believed that he will leave behind circular dsDNA at the crime scene. Investigators urge the public to go out and get the DAT vaccine to prevent entry into your home. Others already affected are encouraged to undergo antibiotics. If you or a loved one are experiencing symptoms such as sore throat, fever, difficulty swallowing or breathing, fatigue, or the key gray coating in the throat, notify authorities immediately. So, tell me, how did you meet diphtheria?
Well, I met diphtheria while hanging out with some friends. One of my friends sneezed and he showed up soon afterward. I had no idea who he was, but he seemed harmless at first. But after about 5 or so days, his true nature became apparent to me.
And what happened after 5 days?
He started to get really uncomfortable to be around. I would get a sore throat, swollen lymph nodes, and a fever from being around him. I eventually recovered because I had access to antibiotics, which I'm very grateful to have survived, trust me.
That sounds terrible. Did you know of anyone that was not as fortunate to receive treatment as quickly as you did?
Yeah, there have been multiple members of the community that I know personally that went way too long without treatment, whether that was because they couldn't afford it or simply were just not able to go in time.
Yes, if Diphtheria is left untreated for a longer period of time, more adverse problems can and will arise. If you don't die from asphyxiation due to swelling in your lymph nodes, Diphtheria gets bold and goes after the most vital part of the body, heart, interfering with its ability to properly pump blood. Additionally, as it travels through the rest of the circulatory system, it interacts with other vital components, such as the nervous system. Diphtheria stretches its reach of terror into these pathways throughout the body, damaging nerve endings, of which regulate the transmission of electrical messages throughout the body.
Was there anything you learned from that experience?
Yeah, I learned that there are many advances in the medical field that can help prevent people from experiencing diphtheria like I did. I also learned to just, cover your mouth when you sneeze or cough, or even just regularly washing your hands.
One of the largest advancements is the development of vaccines. They can prevent you from ever having to deal with diphtheria in the first place, or at least make some symptoms less severe and make them last for a short amount of time.
What would you say to those who argue that vaccines don't work or that they cause more harm than good?
I would say that everything has at least some risk, but the adverse effects that you are at risk of facing with vaccines are far less than the risks associated with actually having to deal with diphtheria.
So, you would argue that getting vaccinated is better than just letting the illness spread itself out?
Definitely. Without the vaccine, the chances of an outbreak are much higher. If an outbreak occurred, that would put pressure on the medical system, which would cause issues with hospitals not having enough staff to deal with everyone. I don't want that. You don't want that. I really freaking hope you don't want that. Without hospitals being understaffed to deal with everyone, that would lead to more deaths and other complications. We've seen that a lack of medical literacy is a problem when it comes to the public making informed decisions. Efforts have been made to combat this to increase accessibility of medical information, but there is only so much that can be done due to the public's mistrust. People remain wary of the healthcare system, fall victim despite our efforts.
Ha ha ha! Like that makes a difference.
What do you mean by that?
Bro, think of it this way. If you're tied to the train tracks, will it make a difference if you see the train coming or not? Of course not! I'm a train. Powerful, unstoppable, nostalgic in a cute and endearing way. You think a little research and education is gonna stop this train? Hey Mikey!
Yeah?
You think the fancy scientists are gonna stop this train?
Nah, Dex, you get him good.
Yeah, what he said. Plus, it clearly seems people are quite eager to invite me into their homes. Like, please, not washing your hands? Not getting you or your kids vaccinated? People are hungry for the chugga-chugga. Practically begging for it. Plus, y'all, totally blow things way out of proportion. I'm pretty sure for, most of my victims, they were, mega poor anyway. Second and third world. No one would miss them.
Dexter stated that no one would miss him if an epidemic of diphtheria occurred in his most prominent killing areas. What do you say to that?
Well, the countries mentioned are disproportionately affected by diphtheria because of inadequate access to vaccines. If an outbreak were to occur and spread to other countries, it would leave multiple populations at risk. If growing sentiment about not getting vaccinated continues, a pandemic is more and more imminent, even within more developed countries. So it is not just underdeveloped countries that should be worried.
And all this yada yada about, just take antibiotics. Okay, go ahead. I'm always up for a new challenge. I'm adaptable, baby. I can transform all day, every day, any day. Again, people are just flat out asking for it at this point. It's like they want me to get way out of this world jacked. Well, more than I already am.
I'm adaptable, baby. All day, every day, any day.
You hear that? Unstoppable!
What he is saying is true, yes. It is a major source of scientific discourse on how to curb this limitation with antibiotics. But with alternative methods to treating bacterial infections such as bacteriophages, CRISPR techniques, and more, we will find a reliable way to defeat diphtheria for good in the near future. I hope. Over-reliance on antibiotics has been difficult to accept, but progress has been made.
Luckily, this menace has been locked away. For now, at least. But how long will this last? Diphtheria has been permitted to wreak havoc far too easily and for far too long. It's time for us to come together and learn from the devastation endured by all his victims. Although far from being the only infectious disease that humanity has encountered and needs to be wary of, the spread of this illness, as well as all the misinformation about it, has cost millions of people their lives and caused lifelong damage to countless others. It's important for all of us to be open to hearing new information, to be able to change our behaviors and adapt as needed, especially when our choices have the capacity to rapidly change our situations in so many drastic ways. Making small changes to your routine personal hygiene habits can significantly impact everyone's well-being, not just your own health. In a time filled with so much uncertainty and fear of the unknown, it feels even more important to hold on to the things that we do know, which is why it is so crucial to remember that change begins with one person. To help further curb the devastating impact of diphtheria on communities, we are urging our viewers to donate to help advance medical research, develop better treatments, as well as promote accessibility to vaccines that will provide people with the preventative protection that they need. On a smaller, more individual scale, it is vital that we encourage proper hand-washing techniques and respiratory hygiene. You, the viewer, are the first line of defense against disease. Good night and good luck.